Beautiful morning to you, sport fans, wherever you are. Good morning and welcome to today's edition of the program, Talk Sport, where we take a look at happenings in the world of sport across Nigeria's capital city, Abuja, the entire country, the sub-region, Africa, and the entire globe, where we will take you round and round to bring you stories that are making headlines in the world of sport. And of course, on today's edition of the program, hopefully we'll be having the chairman of Benue State FA right here in our studio to take a look at the ongoing Nigeria Professional Football League and perhaps find answers to the struggling start of the Super Eagles of Nigeria for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which will be hosted in the United States of America, Canada, and Mexico. And indeed, the entire continent of Africa, where 2 matches have been played in the respective countries in all the groups conducted by the continent's football governing body. And of course, preparations are in top gears for Nigeria to qualify for the All-Africa Games and eventually picked their last ticket for the, the Paris 2024 Olympics. This and many more stories because the Nigeria Professional Football League matches will go underway today in 10 separate venues across the country. And Talk Sports on Global TV will bring to you minutes and seconds of the entire proceeding. Let's take a break. When we come back, we go straight to stories that are making headlines only on Global TV, Talk Sport, right here in Nigeria's capital city. And I am Agbo Clinton saying welcome on board on today's edition of the program. Glad to have you. Glad to have you back on the program. Talk Sport coming away live and direct from Nigeria's capital city. And we are looking at sporting events across the globe. We are told that respective players from their countries are expected back in their respective clubs after showcasing their professional skills in national assignment across 54 countries in the race for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Of course, you know, in Nigeria, our own players were in the country, and the absence of Victor Osimhen has caused great setback to the commencement of the race for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. The 3-time African champions have failed to win a match in 180 minutes in a game that was decided at the Uyo Township Stadium and far away Rwanda. The boys, under the leadership of Pesero as coach of the national team, came behind to play a 1-1 draw against the visitors from Lesotho. That didn't go down well with fans in Abuja and, of course, Nigerian fans all over the world. But there were assurance that the team will bounce back in their second game against the Crocodile of Zimbabwe. The game was played in a neutral game, of course a neutral venue, because Zimbabwe has not gotten the approval of the World Football Governing Body to stage any FIFA's event in their country. Zimbabwe took Rwanda as their home for their home matches, and so they had a bad day with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. The Crocodiles took the lead to the dismay and surprise of many Nigerians, but the Eagles managed to pull one back, and the game ended 1 for Zimbabwe, 1 for the Super Eagles. Bookmakers have already given the Super Eagles the lead in these two matches. The Nigerian Football Federation said the two matches, or the matches at the beginning of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, will serve as preparation as the team gets set to compete in next year's CAF African Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. Unfortunately, Super Eagles failed woefully, if you ask me, because playing with a team that is ranked 151 and Super Eagles within the top 10 in the continent of Africa failed to beat the visitors in their own home, talking about the Godswill Akpabio Stadium, the capital of Akwa Ibom State in South Nigeria. The team left the stadium with their head down and had a trip to Rwanda, hoping to give Nigerians a reason to smile, and it was the same score line. So Super Eagles stand behind South Africa with 2 points from 2 games, while Bafana Bafana of South Africa are comfortably sitting on the top of Group C with 3 points. Rwanda defeated South Africa to the delights of Nigerians, because a win for South Africa would have given the Bafana Bafana 6 points, therefore making it quite difficult and upper tax for the Nigerian Super Eagles. But with Bafana Bafana with 3 points, the Super Eagles can bounce back if they can win their next match. No game for the 2026 World Cup will be decided at this country, because the entire continent of Africa will be heading to Ivory Coast for the African Cup of Nations. Nigeria is grouped in Group A alongside host country, talking about Ivory Coast. The boys will be going into the game. Hopefully, Victor Osimhen will be in action. Osimhen last played for Nigeria in the 2-2 draw against Saudi Arabia in one of the international FIFA window game. He was not part of the game that saw Nigeria defeated Mozambique by 3-2 and has been sidelined. But latest report reaching us, Cherry News, is that Osimhen is back in full action, and he'll be doing what he knows how to do best with Napoli. And when it comes to the African Cup of Nations, he will be the goal banker for the Super Eagles. Talking about Osimhen, he has been listed and nominated by the continent's football governing body, CAF, for the award of the African Footballer of the Year. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll tell you that 6 of the African players who came back home to honor their home country are said to be sidelined because of injury. When we come back, we take a look at all these players in Africa who will not be in the starting lineup in their various club sides. When we come back, we'll also talk about the development of football in the country. Our guest, Mr. Paul, the chairman of Benue State, is expected in the studio from any moment from now. Let's take a break. When we come back, we go straight to stories that are making headlines in the world of sport. This is Talk Sport, and Global TV Abuja. Go away. Still talking sport right here in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. This is Talk Sport, and this is how we do Monday to Friday. We bring to you stories that are making headlines in the world of sport. Let's tell you that some African players who honored the national assignment in their respective countries, a lot of them will not bounce back in the first lineup for their various club sides in their various participating teams in Europe. One of such is neighboring Cameroon, a player talking about Andre Onana, who plays for Manchester City. City is not a happy club this morning because Onana sustained an injury in their 3-win victory in their day one of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The player who was suspended by the Cameroon Football Federation in their last appearance in the FIFA World Cup in Qatar had already told Manchester United that he will be part of it. He is expected to be part of the indomitable Lions of Cameroon as they go in for the next edition of the African Cup of Nations. In his club side, although Manchester United is not in his best, but he is a player that has done so much for Manchester United. It's Talk Sport right here on Global TV. Let's tell you that Saleh, who scored 4 goals for his club side, talking about the ongoing FIFA World Cup, talking about the greatest, one of the greatest African players, talking about Mohamed Saleh of Egypt, is expected in full force for Liverpool. Saleh got a goal, 1, 2, 3, 4 in their first game, but away, Saleh was escorted by police because the fans in that country were not happy after the Egyptians also ran away with a away 2-goal victory in favor of the Pharaohs. The Pharaohs, who are the nickname of the Egyptian national team, now has a total of 6 points from 2 matches, described by many as 100% and the ongoing race for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The Egyptians, who are the running, side in the last African Cup of Nations, will be going into the competition hoping that they can improve. Egypt played at the finals against the Teranga Lions of Senegal, in which the West African side defeated the North African side to lift the African Cup of Nations for the first time. Senegal are in the group alongside Cameroon in the race for the African Cup of Nations. Let's go to Ghana, the Black Stars. Black Stars have made no mistake in their race for the FIFA World Cup. Black Stars recorded an outright win at home to prepare their chances of advancing in the next stage. The continent of Africa will go into the World Cup qualifiers in 2 separate events, talking about 2 separate rounds before going in. A total of 9 teams will qualify for Africa, and 1 team will be on runners-up. Hopefully, this is the time when Africa will lift the FIFA World Cup. Did you hear me? Let's take another break. When we come back, there will be more on the program Talk Sport right here on Global TV. Glad to have you back on the program Talk Sport right here in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. Let's take you to South Africa because the coach of the South African team, Bafana Bafana, is talking tough, giving reasons why his team failed in their last match. We are told that Bafana Bafana of South African coach Hugo Broos has explained why his side lost 0-2 to Rwanda in their Group C of the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. That's the group of the Super Eagles. Put that down on your diary. Two first half goals earned Rwanda a first win in the qualifiers, while it was South Africa's first defeat in the race. Also, Rwanda occupied top spot in Group C on 4 points, while South Africa are second on 3 points. Oh my God. Let us report reaching out. The result ended Bafana 11-match unbeaten run and was only their second loss in the past 18 games across all competition. Bafana is talking tall. Afterward, Bafana coach Boros says his side lost the game within the first quarter and were never in position to recover. This is what he said. We lost the game in the 25th minute because we weren't ready for the kickoff and rush football of Rwanda. Boros said the Rwanda side made no mistake and maintained the advantage they took over us. I had told the players to be careful because when we give away 2 presents, they take 3 and they made it worse for us. Bafana lamenting over their loss to Rwanda. Boros refused to comment on the performance of some of his players who did not come to the party. I am not sure to be commenting on some of them, but my hope and my belief is that we had 11 players and it wasn't for us. Bafana next game and the qualifier is an away game against Nigeria Super Eagles, and that game will be decided on June, and of course June 16, 2024 will be the day Bafana will hit the Uyo Township Stadium, and I'm confident that will be a win for the Super Eagles. The Eagles started their campaign on a disappointing note after 2 draws against Lesotho and Zimbabwe in the ongoing race for the 2026 World Cup, which will be conducted. Let's go and tell you that it looks like Mr. Paul is here with us, and he'll be joining us in the studio this morning to take a look at happenings across the globe and sport, as well as the domestic league. Let's come back home here and tell you that all is now set for the commencement of the KFI Football Federation, which is expected to bring together a total of 16 teams. They call it a grassroots football team, bringing players across the entire country. Of course, it will be a moment for them to celebrate the Xmas. The permanent secretary of sport in Nasarawa State said the players are drawn from all the zones in the state and to give them a platform to showcase themselves and perhaps pick players that will fly the solid mineral side. Nasarawa United is taking part in the Nigeria Professional Football League, and hopefully they will bounce back. Let's take a break. When we come back, there will be a man in the studio and there will be more about it on sport. Don't go away.
over Kepa and makes it 1-0.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program Talk Sport right on Global TV from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. And I'm glad to let you know that we have the vibrant, talking about the chairman of Benue State Football Association. He also doubled as one of the greatest sport development personnel in the country because he's combining the best of skills from male football as well as female football. And he's in the studio of Global TV right here in Nigeria's capital city. Mr. Paul Ide, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
This is my very first time and I'm extremely happy that I'm here today.
And Global TV is glad to have you. And now tell us, how is football development in Benue State where you are the chairman of Benue FA?
Well, we're having a jolly good ride with the FA in Benue. And this is because of the enthusiasm of the Benue people. We've enjoyed football over the years, contributed immensely to the development of the game at the national level and even internationally with the number of players we have churned out, considering where we're coming from. You know, Benue State happens to be one of the biggest football hubs, which has developed an ecosystem where young players are discovered, and over the years we have continued to contribute our little quota with the game of football. And that is why when we came, when we came on board on June 17th of this year, we took a deliberate decision to be able to harness the potentials that exist in Benue State. And today, we are a force to reckon with. I want to adjudge the Benue FA to be one of the best that we have in the country today, as simple as ABCD. And I'm glad you're asking me these questions.
All right, for lovers of the beautiful game of football, basketball, and so on in Benue State. But today we are looking at the development of football in Benue State. Of course, you rightly said Benue has contributed tremendously in the sport development in the country. But let's look at your main stadium, the Apus Stadium in Benue State. What's the situation of the stadium now? Is that where you play your local matches?
Well, the Aparaku Stadium is still not fixed.
Okay.
Does
that trouble you?
It doesn't trouble me because I have first-hand knowledge and information regarding what the Benue State government is doing in terms of fixing that stadium. Okay. With the commitment that has been made by His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Benue State, a lot is going on behind the scene. And I'm pretty sure that before the end of this year, in line with the commitment he has made outwardly and privately, when I met with him, he is determined to make sure it is fixed. And all is being done to return Lobby Stars back to the Aparaku Stadium. And I'm pretty sure in a few days from now, you will see action and the stadium will be fixed. So I'm not troubled at all. But if you want to ask the question as to whether I was troubled that the stadium was not fixed long before now, yes, I was before I became the FA chairman. But I have first-hand information that before this year runs out, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Benue State, would have fixed the stadium.
So it means you are playing your matches home away from home?
Yes, right now, Lobby Stars, it's not breaking news that Lobby Stars is playing its league matches in Lafia, our very good neighbor. Of course, last season we played in Jos. This season it's in Lafia, but it's going to be short-lived. I am confident that before we conclude this first phase, the stadium would have been fixed. I am pretty much optimistic.
So the huge number of absence of some of your fans, is it a blow to your team? Are you winning your home matches in the absence of most of your fans?
Well, Lobby Stars is not doing badly if you look at the league table. And that is to tell you that the sheer determination that has been showcased in the past couple of games that Lobby Stars played shows the kind of commitment that these young boys are putting into the game. Considering the fact that we're not even playing in Makurdi yet and we're performing the wonders we're performing today, I'm pretty optimistic that once we return back to Makodi, we'll go back to winning ways. Unfortunately, our last match against Enyimba, we lost narrowly by a lone goal. But I am sure that the match that we're playing, we're going to be playing in a couple of days, that is the home matches, will certainly do better.
Okay, you talked about the boys. It's on record that you also have great interest in the development of the female of football. And we have a star player that was brought into the country, breaking the record of his signing fee. Tell us more.
Well, yes, as a founder of two women's team, I took the liberty to go into the women's game because that is the road that is least traveled. Considering that everybody is about making the money, churning in the millions, want to have great sign-on fees, I decided in 2019, when I forayed into full-time football sponsorship, that I wanted to do women's football. And in my quest to be able to do that, I indeed established Niger Rattles, which is currently in the Premiership, and Honey Badgers, which is in the Championship. That's the second division. Yeah, you talked about the recent signing of Onome Ebi. When the decision was reached by the new management of the team, as a founder, I endorsed it holistically because Onome is not just a player, she is a legend. She is not only a legend, but one who has made history for this country and for Africa. And to consider that her lifelong vision is to ensure that she comes back home and adds value to the development of the Women's League, I felt that it is something that should be encouraged. And that is why today, not only is she the highest paid player in the Women's League in Nigeria, I make bold to say that she is the highest paid in any of the leagues in Nigeria today. And the records are there for verification. It's not another humongous promise to do a thing and we're not doing. She's earning what the club says she will be earning. And I am happy that she has become an inspiration to these young girls. When you watch her play for the team, like the last league match they played at in Abuja, you will realize that even the opponents were all embracing her. They were excited, showing showering encomiums on her, and she is an inspiration to all the players, both in Niger Rattles and across other clubs. And I'm glad that that signing was done by Niger Rattles.
You have your two hands with the boys and with the girls, and you say less travel. It also shows that it also have less profit making. Why combining the two? Why not football, which is huge in number, huge in all the benefit that comes?
Well, the truth is that I think that we have neglected the women fold far too long. I think we have not paid attention to the women's team. Or the women's game primarily. If you look at the parity that exists in terms of pay, I have been one of the major proponents that there should be equal pay for both the men national team and the women's national team. The reason is because the women have to do twice the amount a man has to do to be able to succeed. And if they, with the effort that the women's team have made, look at the Super Falcons, for instance, the kind of record they have set. The Super Eagles have not even come near it at all. But yet you pay the men more than you pay the women. And I think we should be able to come back home and say, no, what a man can do, what the men can do, the women have done better. And are
you one of those who supported the statement of one-time minister saying that he prefer working with the ladies because they have brought us 9 trophies, and the men who take so much of this money instead gives him so much headache?
I put that question back to you as a lawyer. The owner of this TV station, if the women bring him more money than you who are the men, who will he work better with? Of course the women. So for me, I think that the women has done a lot. And like I said, they put in 10 times the effort a man can put in once to be able to succeed. And if they do so, the least we can do is just to encourage them and to do more. Because I mean, look at 9 trophies. How many have you men brought to the table? Nothing, but yet you earn more.
But these 9 trophies, we are told that put them all together cannot measure 1 trophy. Let's
That's
come
because-
back for
That's
different
because you
day.
think so.
Our guest here on the program, of course, is a man who has seen it all in football and cannot deny the fact that the male football is the champion. Let's come to a team that you love so much, the Super Eagles. It looks like the writing on the wall presently is not clear if we have to make it to America, Canada, Mexico 2026. Your thought and your prayers for the Super Eagles?
Well, just like the recent launch by the minister and the NFF on the slogan, let's do it again. I am an eternal optimist. I know that football can go any way at every point in time, even though right now our chances look a bit bleak. Not too comfortable for us to begin to shout, yeah, we're there. But I'm still optimistic that in the next couple of matches that we have, we'll be able to turn the tables. And for me, it's just a mere advice I have for the coaching crew, because
You think it's the coaching crew?
Sorry?
You think it's the coaching crew?
I think it's the coaching crew because basically who calls the shots, who invites the players? It's not the NFF that invites the players, it's not the Congress, it is the coach and his team that decide who and what they need to be able to win. And just like you're planning, your opponent is also planning. So if you don't bring in your A game in the long run, you discover that your opponent is going to outwit you. So I think that at this time moving forward, it has to do with a collaborative effort. The NFF needs to also sit up to ensure that it mounts the right pressure on the coaching crew to see that we qualify. And I can assure you that if we do not qualify for the second year running, it's going to be disastrous for the game of football in Nigeria and Africa at large, because the giant of Africa cannot afford not to be at the World Cup for 2 consecutive periods.
But Mr. Paul, you are a key player in Nigerian football. What went wrong at home? What went wrong in Rwanda? As regards the Super Eagles, miserable starting. 1-1 draw in 2 matches. You are a key factor of the Nigerian football. Tell us.
Like I said, it has to do with the choices that were made.
Not the pitch.
Not the pitch.
Not the weather.
Not the weather.
And you are not owing them. I'm talking to you because you are a strong man.
They are not being owed. They can attest to the fact that they are not being owed. One thing that the Ibrahim Gusso-led NFF has done is to ensure that the welfare of players and all that needs to be done by the NFF is done and done as at when due. This will be the first time you would agree with me that the Super Eagles had no challenge traveling from Uyo to go and play their next match. In fact, they went in a chartered aircraft, went with the right support team. But I think that the coaches need to do far more than they are doing today. And I also think that part of the factors responsible is also the injury that was sustained by Osimhen, who is one of our star and key players.
So what you're saying, no Osimhen, no Nigeria football?
That's
In
not
a
what
country
I'm
of
saying.
250 million.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the team have blended so much with Osimhen.
Okay.
And the game of football is not just about skills. It's not about having the number of players, but about a team that understands itself. And of course, if you combine the likes of Osimhen and the crew we have had in the past, you see the result we have continued to garner for ourselves. So I think that a lot needs to be done by the coaching crew. It still hinges on them.
Okay, let's look at the table. Presently, Rwanda is ahead of us. Bafana of South Africa is ahead of us. Nigeria now occupies the 3rd place. Our next game will be against Bafana. Bafana coach is already crying his defeat against Rwanda, hoping that there is a consolation against the Super Eagles. You want to see Bafana come here to take 3 points? Can that be possible?
Well, I know that the pressure on the Super Eagles right now is humongous, is high, and they will do everything humanly possible with the sheer determination and icked by the fact that if they don't win this match, our hopes are dashed. So I think that if Bafana is coming to Nigeria to come and face a huge task, particularly that we're playing at home, and with such a support base that we have in Uyo, I think that we'll certainly do better. And this time around, the mistakes that we made in our last 2 matches will effectively be corrected.
I thought we have learned a bitter lesson, failing to qualify for Qatar and the early exit in the African Cup of Nations in Cameroon. Those were 2 obvious reasons why we thought these boys should bounce back. And your Congress came out to say the World Cup qualifiers are just preparation for the African Cup of Nations. The way it looks now, I think it's more than preparation, but something more serious.
You know, there are certain things you cannot say in public. There are certain things that goes on behind the scene. I am very much aware that the NFF president and of course the executive committee and even the Congress were under intense pressure from Nigerians to do all that we need to humanly do to ensure that we don't miss out in this World Cup. And the least I can say now is the fact that the NSFF is working around the clock with the coaching crew to ensure that Nigerians are not disappointed. And of course, you will notice this in the next match we're playing against South Africa.
Barrister Paul, are you planning to sack the coach? Is that on the table of the NFF?
It is not within my purview. It is within the purview of the NFF president, whose prerogative it is to hire and sack. But like I said, he knows exactly what he's doing. There are things that goes on behind the scene. It's just like a computer system. At the back end, a lot happens within the back end, and I'm pretty sure that whatever decision that is reached by the NFF president moving forward is going to be the best in the circumstance.
You have played football and today you are an administrator. Let's look at the 3 major departments, the attack, the defense, and the goalkeeping. And some says the goalkeeping department under Loy Agu, a former goalkeeper of the Super Eagles, seems to be where the problem is. I don't know if you've been able to notice these 3 departments. Where do you think our focus is should now? If Osimhen is back, where can we
I think our focus mainly should be in the midfield.
Okay.
Because the interplay between the defense, of course, goalkeeping added to it, and the midfield, and of course the transition to the main flank, that is the attack, is not as fluid as we have experienced over the years. Once upon a time, we had Amokachi the Bull, we had Tijani Babayaro, and the rest. The way and manner we had that fluidity in terms of the passes transiting from the defense line to the midfield to the attack, we don't experience that. A lot of mistakes within the midfield. So I think that should be strengthened. Then second of all, I think that the defense has not also done badly. The defense has consistently been consistent. Of course, just a few mistakes and errors here and there, but I think that once we're able to strengthen our midfield and we can gain that fluid transition, we'll be able to overcome our next opponents.
We will be able to overcome our next opponent. Choice word of our guest here in the studio, the chairman of Benue State Football Association, who also doubled as founder of 2 female clubs. A man who says there are less traffic in the developmental of the female league. Let's come back here. I'm sure that you all owe respect and to the former First Lady, talking about Stella Obasanjo, who personally embraced the development of female football. What are you doing with your committee to ensure that corporate bodies identify the way they are romancing the male counterpart, give such support for the women? If that is done, what do you think will happen to women football?
I think that the mistake we consistently make in Nigeria is the fact that we have given so much attention to the male game to the detriment of the women's game. Those who knows their onion ought to naturally embrace the women's game. And that's why I am enthralled and happy with the fact that CAF and FIFA are doing all that they can to make sure that the women's game is brought to the mainstream. For instance, no male team would compete in the CAF Championship if you do not have a women's team. So every team in the Premiership today are forced to begin to have women's team. And a few teams that have been able to meet this standard is Remo Stars. Remo Stars recently started the Remo Stars Ladies because of their last qualification. Bendel Insurance have started. And of course, as the FA chairman of Benue State, I can assure you that we are insisting that Lobby Stars is going to have a women's team. Yeah, they are romancing with Honey Badgers now to take over the team, but we'll ensure that it happens. That way we'll be able to attract sponsorship, because once you have the male and the female categories within the same Premiership flank, you discover that more sponsors will be attracted. And it's so sad that most of our sponsors today are not looking at sponsoring the women's game. But I can assure you that the women's game, they're doing far better than the men's team, because it's least controversial. You know, the men have to do all that they want to do to make sure they win at all costs. But you will see the football at its beauty. Like today, for instance, the league matches, women's league matches will still be played. Nigeria Tels is playing in Lagos, for instance. You will see the best of football. And when you watch these girls play, you are happy. The tension reduces to see these young girls doing the best they can do to make sure that they compete with their male counterpart. So I think that I want to join Madam Nkechi Obi, the chairperson of the Nigerian Women Football League, to call on corporate entities to be able to reach out and see how they can also sponsor the women's game. At least the women have done us more proud than the men, so we should give them more. To whom much is given, much is expected. So they have given much to us, so they also expect more from us.
Nkechi Obi, a veteran journalist, now doing the best to take the Nigerian female sports to the next level. The management of Global TV strongly stand behind her and wish her the best. And let's see where our ladies. But we have two very, very important tickets on our hand. Talking about the ladies, we have the Olympic ladies, the Olympic qualifiers, and they will be traveling to Cameroon. The Lioness are wounded, and they will be coming here for the return game. The girls are also preparing for the under-20 FIFA. Does it trouble you if some of your best players are taken for national assignment? Does that mean some setback to the club?
No, it doesn't.
Really?
Let me even shock you. When our girls went to India for the women under 17 World Cup, I had about 7 players in the national team competing favorably, playing in the first 11. The recent under-20 qualifiers for the Olympics, I have 2 players. My goalkeeper and my assistant captain was also invited. For me, it is not about winning. And Nigeria or our nation should take precedence over any victories that I expect to have in the course of playing a league match. And this is the mentality that I also handed down to the new chairperson of Nigeria Tels, and that is Mrs. Alison Jegede. We understand what it means like to carry the national colors and represent Nigeria internationally. So for us, it's not about winning the league matches. If Nigeria wins, we ultimately have won. And it doesn't trouble me. The last match we played, we lost at home 3-1. It didn't bother me because I know that some of my key players were not on ground. But am I sad? No, I'm not sad. I'm happy with the fact that Nigeria have transited to the next stage. And if Nigeria in the long run continues to thrive while our team diminishes, I think that we should all be happy. And moreover, it is not only our players that we had a similar call-up. Other teams also had call-up. So we should all be happy to join our hands together to ensure that whether our players are called or they are not called, we support our national teams.
Mr. Paul, let me ask the 1 million naira question. In Cameroon, we have Yaoundé national team. We have a team. In Casablanca, there is a team. In South Africa, there is a team. As we speak, Abuja doesn't have a team in the professional football league. And you spend most of your time in Abuja. Doesn't it trouble you that we should start thinking of having a team that will fly in Abuja in the Nigeria Professional League?
Is it the MPL or is it the NWFL?
The MPL.
The MPL, I am not bothered. Whether we have or not. What I'm happy about is the fact that we have in Nigeria Tels that is based in the FCT,
Okay.
is playing in the Premiership.
Okay.
So it is not totally correct that we don't have a team playing professionally. Of course, we also have CTFC that are in the NNL. I think more...
In the APL, do we have a team right now?
We don't have one, but I'm pretty sure that we should have in the next season.
We should.
Yeah, we should have.
So are there plans for you to work with the one we call 001? When he was in Port Harcourt, it was called 001. Today it's in Abuja. We don't know if Wike will still be answering the name 001 because he has a boss, Mr. President. Are there plans for some stakeholders to work closely with him for us to see FCT having a team at the NPL?
I think that's the ultimate goal. You know, this morning I was meditating on the fact that if we leave the running of football entirely to private investors, we may not be able to get the needed funding or resources that is required to push the game forward. For instance, Nigeria Tels are in Lagos playing their league match today, and the minimum they have spent so far with the cost of fueling, logistics and all that is over 5 million naira. So imagine going around the states of the federation. For an individual who is investing in the game, it will be a bit difficult. But imagine the FCT minister funding the various clubs in Abuja. I can assure you that the teams will do better. So government support is required, and that's why you see that most of the teams that are thriving today are the ones that have the financial muscle, and that's why you're seeing teams like what's it called again? Insurance doing the
Mr.
best
Paul,
it
we want
can,
to say
and of course,
a very big thank you to you. We'll have time to look at how to correct Nigerian football. I want to say thank you very much for your passion and development of sport in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Paul has been our guest. He's the chairman of Benue State Football Association. He also doubled as a strong founder and a man who is contributing to ensure that the female football is given or taken to the next level. That's the size of today's edition of the program Talk Sport right here on Global TV, coming away live and direct from Nigeria's capital city. And of course, we are always ready to partner to develop sport in the country. That's one of the vision of Global TV. Until we come your way again, stay out of problem and enjoy the rest of the day. I am Clinton Agbo saying thank you very much for your time.